The subject of today's talk is How It Works, from the Introduction to the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Let's take a few moments first to ground ourselves. I know and affirm that there is one power, one presence, one infinite intelligence that was, that is, and ever shall be. I know that this one power has given rise to all that I see and all that I do not see, that it enshrouds all, embraces all, flows from, within, and all around all that is, seen and unseen. I know that this infinite intelligence is the source of all life. It is my life right here and right now. I know that it is my life in the very power that animates my body, breathes my lungs, beats my heart, and also entrusts within me the power to create the story of my life. I know that from this understanding I have the power to choose, the power to let go of limitation and to choose anew, to choose aright. I release all fear, all belief in limitation and discord. I embrace possibility and all of the qualities I wish to experience in my life. These are love, light, life, power, peace, beauty, and joy. These I express easily in my life, for I know that it is my birthright to embody these, and I do so in the certainty that all lies before me is good, good, and more good. For I know that I am a beloved child of the universe, and it is with a glad and grateful heart that I release and let go, and so it is. January is an opportunity for us to ground ourselves once again in the core principles and teachings of New Thought, as they are interpreted in The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. We look at the thing itself, how it works, what it does, and how to use it. So today, we'll look briefly at the first concept, the thing itself, which is our interpretation of God, and then more leisurely at what it does, the way the universe works on a metaphysical level, and how this affects each and every one of us, and why it is what it does as a result of the thing itself. In New Thought, we know and affirm that God is all there is. All there is, seen and unseen, resides within God. We know that the life-giving energy and intelligence that permeates all is God, is that source of life. And we know that the physical manifestation of the universe is merely the physical manifestation of God, the body of God, if you like. By extension, there is not a great multitude of lives, so much as there is one life, and we are all partaking of this one life moment by moment. Ernest Holmes and other luminaries of New Thought often quote the 17th chapter, 28th verse of the book of Acts in the Bible, where it says, "For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring." You and I are living and moving and experiencing life immersed in God, in the midst of God. We often forget this fact, just like fish suspended in swimming in water are unaware of the fact that water is actually all around them and even within them. You and I, we're all self-aware centers of consciousness in the midst of an intelligence that makes up the physicality of our bodies, and whose consciousness is in reality our own consciousness. And so, in understanding this, we see that God is not Santa Claus. God is not some tremendous person seated on a cloud, adjusting his spectacles and looking down on us to check off our deeds, to mete out whether we are to be judged as naughty or nice. We are not judged by God so much as by our own misunderstandings and by our own misdeeds. The early New Thought writers said that we are not judged for our sins, but by our sins. Because we have self-awareness, we have choice. And so we can choose what we think, what we believe, what we say, and what we do. We can join together with others who think like we do and use this creative power for positive and life-affirming ends, or we can desecrate and cover up this ability of ours to co-create with spirit. We can engage in what Ernest Holmes calls malpractice, or using our creative power to cause suffering to ourselves or other people. And yet, our suffering does not change as a reality established, the fact that infinite intelligence lies within us and all around us, whether we know it or not. But our experience of life does change. Remember, infinite intelligence is an intelligence that enshrouds all, embraces all, flows from within and all around all, and we all exist within one divine mind. It is within this one divine mind that we live and move and have our being. We are in the midst of an infinite intelligence. We are soaked and saturated within it. We are part and parcel of it, and we can no sooner abandon this truth than a dog can stop barking or a cat can stop mewing. It's who and what we are. You are part of this grand tapestry. You are experiencing your place in it. So the question becomes, what are we experiencing? And how can we change the framework of our thinking so that we can begin to co-create with Source in a way that supports and pleases us? How can we let go of old, limiting beliefs like lack and limitation? The key lies in the idea that we are self-aware. We co-create our lives and collective experiences. We create our expression of life. And two people having the same experience externally can have very different internal experiences based on what each believes is true and what each believes is possible. Consider the idea of lack. You and I might see that in our local vicinity there are many people who lack food in their cupboards. You might reason, it is not a lack of food that is the issue. It is a lack of people willing to share it, or it is an issue with the system and the distribution of wealth. And so you might become involved in efforts to distribute food that would have otherwise been thrown away at grocery stores, or you might begin writing to your local legislator about this issue. But if I'm convinced that the lack of food is evidence that the economy is in shambles, or that the people who seem to lack are somehow defective, or any number of negative interpretations, I'm liable to fall into patterns of fear that limit my ability to become part of a solution, or to feel stable and confident that I myself will be provided for. I might see this lack in our community as a harbinger of a great economic recession, or of a crime wave, or whatever, and I might take measures that have nothing to affirm life, but rather to alienate people and also alienate myself. Only our interpretations of the root causes are different, and yet the cascading effects that can have lasting consequences on our experience of life as we know it, and what we choose to do, may result. As a result of your choice to believe that where there is a problem, there is a solution, you have gained the mental fortitude to join with others in a solution. This is what Ernest Holmes tells us is meant by the idea that when there is a prayer, there is an answer. As a result of my choice to believe that lack and limitation and alienation amongst people are only indicators of something awful that has happened or is happening or is bound to happen, I become increasingly mistrustful of others, of myself, and even of the ability of the abundance and the ability of Source to come into my life. In this way, our beliefs frame our lives. So, what to do? And what does this have to do with how it works? Well, Ernest Holmes tells us that in order for Source to do something for us, or to bring anything to us, it must first come through us. You and I must embody what it is that we want to experience more of. We need to allow ourselves to believe that things are possible before they can be possible in our own experience. If we don't believe it, the likelihood that we will be in the right place at the right time and doing the right things for our greatest good and our highest joy is not likely to increase. And again, this does not mean that the universe is judging us. Rather, it's taking us at our own measure. What we believe about ourselves and about life tends to become the truth for us. Certainly there are stories, and you may have your own, of something wonderful or miraculous happening that knocks your life off its current trajectory of difficulty and brings about happier circumstances. And Florence Scovel Shinn reminds us that this is because we are under grace and not under law. She says this means that we reap where we have not sown. But the fact remains that we have the power in our own hearts and in our own lives to make a shift out of a mindset of lack or limitation, of fear, and open ourselves up to the abundance that is here and available to us in this very moment, and to come into vibrational harmony with the synchronicities at work in the universe right here and right now. And when we do, we tend to be more in tune with divine right action in ways that will cascade throughout our lives and make improvements that we can see. Remember, you and I don't experience life as it is. Life is eternally going on in ways that are abundant and life-giving and full of possibility. Rather, we experience life as we are, both individually and collectively. Lest we misinterpret this to mean that if something bad happens to us, particularly if it is the result of social forces or powers that appear to be outside of us, that it is somehow our fault. We must remember that this concept applies to us both individually and collectively. We as a collective also experience life, as we as a collective believe ourselves to be. And Florence Scovel Shinn reminds us that if we do not drive our subconscious mind, someone else or someone's else are happy to drive it for us. So let this message today be a reminder to each of us that we can take the wheel and drive our subconscious this very day. This very day, you and I can invest in ways of thinking and feeling that support and nurture us. We can practice our affirmations. We can write them down. We can make a pact with another person to check in on one another and see how we're doing throughout the week with regard to our affirmations and our intentions. When we're feeling downtrodden or powerless, we can entrust ourselves to the words and ideas of luminaries and teachers whose words we can contemplate or reflect upon in ways that inspire us and nurture us. We can spend time in formal relaxation and mindfulness practices like meditation or yoga nidra. And we can spend time in affirmative prayer, reminding ourselves over and over what it is that we truly believe until it becomes second nature to believe it. And this involution of new life and new life-affirming ideas result in the evolution of happier experiences in our lives. Now that we know how it works, you and I get to begin in this very moment. And so it is.